Listen up and clean your ears out, because these boys are here.
Okay, we're gonna see how this goes. Welcome to Bugboys.
Hi.
My name is Kevin.
I'm Sebastian.
We're a podcast sort of dedicated to talking about Kamen Rider and anything tangentially related to it. In case you're listening and have no idea what Kamen Rider is, we'll give you kind of a quick explanation. Kamen Rider is a Japanese TV series for kids. Yep. It's part of a genre called tokusatsu, or just toku, which is all about people wearing superhero and monster suits fighting each other with practical special effects. If that sounds like Power Rangers, you'd be right, because not only is Power Rangers part of the genre, its source material, Super Sentai, is the sister franchise to Kamen Rider.
Wait, really?
Yeah, really? You didn't know?
No, I did not know. Thank you for educating me, Kevin,
yeah.
Because I was living in a world where that didn't work.
Kamen Rider has two modest but failed attempts to bring it over to the West, so few people know what it is. Kamen Rider, like Sentai, started in the 1970s. The original show focused on a college student named Takeshi Hongo, who was kidnapped by an evil organization named Shocker, which is kind of like the Japanese Hydra. They turned Takeshi into
Wait. What's Hydra? I'm a fucking dweeb. I don't know what this means, Kevin. He brought me into a room, says we're gonna talk some bugs, and what the fuck's a Hydra?
You're right. I mean, Hydra is more of a reptile sort of thing.
Yeah,
that's more along the lines of like fur affinity sort of shit. So, all right. Okay, so he was Takeshi Hongo was intended to be a cyborg, with him intended to be the first of many super soldiers. He was able to escape, however, and used his new powers to transform into the insect-themed superhero Kamen Rider and fights against Shocker and their plans. Most Kamen Rider seasons kind of followed that same exact formula from the 70s up to the 80s. After about a decade-long hiatus, Kamen Rider returned in 2000 and has since then been a staple of kids' entertainment. The show has changed a lot over the years, i.e., none of them are really bugs anymore, and there's way more toys than there ever were. But the core concept is pretty much the same. A power meant for evil falls into the hands of a hero, and they use it to protect the world, even as their own humanity is at stake. Kamen Rider is fun, over the top, well written, for the most part, and does a good job at making you want to buy the toys. So, kind of as a starter for this first episode, we are going to be talking about what kind of series we think are the best ones to get into.
Oh, are we? Is that what we're doing now?
That's only what we're doing.
Oh,
now. Okay. So go. What's
So we're talking specifically if you never watched this show before.
If you are just a newcomer to any show at all, like not just Kamen Rider, but like Power Rangers or anything of that sort, don't know where to start because Kamen Rider to a lot of people is like Doctor Who.
Well, unlike Doctor Who, there is not a continuous story.
Yeah, exactly. Rider is self-contained.
Wherever.
The newer ones all have the same. They have crossover movies with each other, but the movies are always non-canon.
They don't make sense.
Usually they don't make sense. They're just kind of a nice way to make and whatnot. But the movies have crossovers, and that's a nice thing to watch if you're watching these shows back to back. But otherwise, you can start with practically anywhere. But there are some ones I do suggest you start with.
What do you suggest?
Okay, so there are 3 seasons that I recommend.
Before we get into anything, I feel like you have to recommend them on specific way, because you can enjoy a Kamen Rider season for completely different reasons as that you like another one.
Yeah, what I'm going for here is I want a person who's getting into Kamen Rider to understand Kamen Rider at its core, at its peak, because you could introduce someone to something like Kamen Rider Hibiki. Hibiki is completely different from every other Rider show ever made. Like, it's nothing like any other Rider show. You could start with that, you would still have no idea what Kamen Rider is.
Yeah, you still really would.
It's a great show, it's just not what you would get.
Not the overall
So, yeah, exactly. So I recommend a bunch of series that are, one, most like Rider nowadays, and also most like Rider in general. So, the ones I recommend, the 3 of them are back-to-back, came out right after each other, which is nice because that means you can watch the crossovers with each other. First one is my second favorite, which is Kamen Rider Double. Kamen Rider Double is a sort of detective series that focuses on a wannabe, hard-boiled private eye named Shotaro Hidari, and he goes around solving crimes with this best friend, Philip, named Philip, who's basically like a human supercomputer. And so the two of them go around fighting against monsters called Dopants, who are humans who have transformed using evil memory sticks called Gaia Memories. That's what they are. Yeah, they're memory sticks. Funny. The gimmick is collectible memory sticks. And so and the memory sticks the bad guys use have like ribs on them and stuff. It's hardcore. And so the show is just kind of a sort of noir, sort of detective story. All the music is jazz. It's It's a very fun show. The monster designs are horrendous. It's one of the worst monster designs I've seen for any series, but otherwise the show's great. The rider design looks like a rider. He's got a little scarf. It's nice. The show gave birth to an entire generation of rider fans who think it's okay to wear ugly hats. But other than that, it's a good show.
Yes.
After Double is Kamen Rider O's, and that's spelled 3 O's. It's not oo, it's O's. O's is kind of harder to explain. It's about a sexy vagabond named Eiji Hino who's traveling around the world after he's come back to Japan after traveling the world. He ends up getting caught in this whole situation involving these ancient homunculi known as the Greed. The Greed create monsters called Yummies, which are born from human desire. And so one of the Greed, a Greed named Ankh, ends up separating from them and gives Eiji a device called the O's Driver, which allows him to transform using these collectible coins called core metals. And so Eiji, who is basically the most selfless motherfucker you'll ever meet, the antithesis of the Greed, decides to use the power to fight against them. O's is a really cool show because it's just a mishmash of so many different things all at once. There's all the music is ska. The main character dresses like a fucking
skank it.
Yeah,
skank that.
Don't know what that means, but the music is ska. The main character dresses god awful in the best way imaginable. The female supporting character in the show is hysterically strong, and they never explain why. Ankh himself is an asshole. I mean, the whole show, he collects coins. He's a coin whore, basically.
Oh.
It's just a great show. What I think is cool about O's is O's, the whole theme of O's focuses on greed and desire and selfishness. But it's cool because obviously there are the themes of not being too selfish and taking care of yourself and everything. But there also focuses on how it's okay to be greedy sometimes if it's for your own gain, and about how being selfless can actually be bad sometimes, how it can actually hurt people, and I think that's really neat. So O's is a really cool one. Forza is the one that comes right after that.
You're going number 1, Forza. Yeah.
Forza, they're all right after each other. Yeah, Forza is much more lighthearted than the rest of them. Forza basically is kind of all about. Forza is about this high school student named Gentaro Kisaragi who looks like a guy who would beat the shit out of you at the back of an IHOP, but he's one of the nicest dudes you'll ever meet. His whole goal is to be friends with everybody he meets. And so he ends up getting caught up in this whole situation in his high school involving these monsters called Zodiarts, which are monsters based on the constellations. And so he's given this device called the Forza Driver, which allows him to transform using these tiny little devices called switches. He transforms into a rocket-themed hero named Forza and sets out to not only beat the shit out of the Zodiarts, but then to become best friends with them and everybody else he ever meets. Forza is written by the same guy who wrote Gurren Lagann, and you wouldn't be surprised at all if you watched it because the main character is hot-blooded as hell, and one of his main weapons is a drill. It's not as well written as Double or O's, but it's competently written nonetheless, and it is a blast to watch. Pun unintended. I don't know. It's just a fun show to watch. It's not poorly written anyway.
Yeah.
And unlike O's and Double, I was sad to finish it. I was really attached to the characters. It's like Mean Girls meets like
really
Space
sad.
Adventures. Yeah, it's just fun. It's a great show. You get really attached. The characters are all like one-off stereotypes and stuff, but they're all good well-written stereotypes. They're cool. So that's kind of the 3 I recommend. They're all good because they're all one after another, and that way you finish one season, you can watch the next one, and then watch the crossovers that go in between them. So those are kind of my recommendations. What do you recommend?
I recommend the 3-way tie All Wizard. All Wizard, just straight up watch All Wizard 3 times in a row, and you'll be set on all.
Sebastian is making a joke about Kamen Rider Wizard, unbeknownst to the fact that we're trying to recommend people into watching Kamen Rider, so the joke he's making falls on deaf ears. Wizard is considered not a good season by a lot of people, and he's taking advantage of that and trying to screw you over, which isn't funny, because the first Rider series I watched was Kamen Rider Black, which is an old-ass show from the 1980s. I thought it was going to be well-written, and it wasn't.
Some people hey, you never know, maybe you jump in, you like Black, you'll get a feel for it.
I like Black now, but I had to get into that. It's an acquired taste.
Hey,
you should start
hey, legit, maybe you watch Wizard and think, wow, this looks really cool, and you want to watch more. You wasn't really satisfied on any other front, but it looked really cool, and then you're satisfied there. So, yeah,
that's
go ahead and...
Give me a legit answer.
A legitimate answer, that's kind of hard. I mean, it's really subjective on what you could deem, like, the best, or them.
It doesn't everyone's the best. It's just kind of what is the best introduction.
It's still there. It's still a hard thing to do because everyone will, especially when it's a show like this, it's kind of hard to just narrow it down to 3.
You don't have to give it 3. Just a couple. Any that come to your mind.
I mean, I don't have the background knowledge as you do. Obviously.
Sure.
I usually recommend Kabuto if you're like, if you're a type of person that likes kind of like a sci-fi.
Absolutely, it's like Men in Black meets Power Rangers or Beetleborgs.
If
basically.
you like technology-esque stuff,
and that is honestly a really good series to get into. If you're into Power Rangers and you need a rider show to kind of segue into, that's actually a really good one because it kind of keeps the whole sci-fi element that Power Rangers has, where they have the tendency to turn every villain into an alien.
Yeah.
Kabuto's villains are all aliens. The Rangers, the riders.
Wow.
I'm just dying.
He just died.
But the riders in the show are mostly color coded. There's a good number of them and everything.
Yeah.
They fight each other a lot, but there is a cohesion that happens.
I feel like it's a very Western.
It's a very Western, and all the riders are bugs. It was the first rider season in a while to come back to the whole bug aspect. The main rider looks riderish as hell. He looks pretty much like the epitome of what rider would look like in the U.S. if it was ever to get a proper adaptation. Or one that was successful, that is. But
I would hey, some people might hate me for this. I'm gonna say Kiva. Another thing about that one, not because it's such a good season, because it's also Western tinge. And if you're a Western type person, if you're in the Western world, I feel like you would identify and recognize a lot of the stuff in Kiva and be like, oh, I recognize
Kiva,
that.
for those who aren't familiar, it's based on horror monsters. His main form is a vampire. He has a Frankenstein form, a creature from the Black Lagoon form, and did I say Frankenstein? And a werewolf form.
Yeah.
It's a great concept. A lot of people don't like Kiva, including myself, because the guy who wrote it, I could go into a whole thing about him, but he's basically like the Stephen Moffat of Kamen Rider, basically, for those who are familiar with Doctor Who. He has a tendency to write misunderstandings as a huge plot point, which I think there is some truth to that. I don't know, because some people pointed out to me before that, there is that tendency in Japanese culture to not share your problems with people, and I think that probably is an actual legitimate point. But nonetheless, there are a lot of other problems.
It's definitely flawed, but I'm going from the aspect of what got me into Kamen Rider.
Sure.
And I got in that era of Kabuto had just been out for a year. I think I saw Den-O coming out.
Den-O is about time traveling in trains. It's probably the goofiest rider show there is.
And as soon as that was over, I was there for Kiva airing.
Kiva, like I said, Kiva's problem, it's got that kind of whole secret identity things going on where if the characters had just talked to each other for about 15 minutes, everything would, like 12 episodes of conflict would be solved.
Yeah.
But they don't, because they're all assholes to each other.
The music's great.
The music is fantastic. It's all violins and stuff. Like, that is the best rider show for like if they wanted to like adapt it and market it to Hot Topic kids, sold.
That's why I love it, because I love Hot Topic.
The monsters are all made of stained glass. Like, it's fucking,
I'm a goth baby
fucking
boy.
Spencer's as hell.
Spencer's as hell, but I
so
love it.
that's kind of, those are some good ones. Kabuto is a really good one. Den-O is a good one to start with a lot of people if you don't want anything too serious. Den-O has no story to it whatsoever, but it is fun. It's like candy in that if you watch too much of it, you get really sick of it, and you don't want to touch it for about 6 months.
I want to barf up.
But Den-O is fun. It's got a lot of heart to it. So I think if you're kind of like Sebastian and my recommendations don't really do it for you.
But if you want something, the last one I would say off the wall, just straight up wacky, but like with that tinge of serious, Gaim.
You haven't finished Gaim.
That's fine, but I feel like I hear so much about it.
Gaim has been Gaim was written by Gen Urobuchi, also known as the guy who wrote Madoka. Madoka was heavily inspired by Kamen Rider Ryuki, which is an older rider show from the early 2000s. So Gaim itself is kind of coming full circle.
But if you want something like if you've never seen any of this before and you want to be flipped out and be like, whoa.
Gaim is written by Gen Urobuchi, so it has as much heavy shit as you would expect it to have, even for a kids show.
The main dude's an orange.
They're all fruits, and they're all fruist, and they're all warriors. But no, they're all.
Describe it as serious you want to. The main dude
has an orange. Is a tangerine.
He's a tangerine baby boy.
Tangerine baby boy who wears a shirt that says "Do a rat."
Yeah.
I'm not joking, but Gaim is a good one too. I've started people on Gaim, but it is pretty heavy, and I think. But that's the problem with Gaim is so heavy, and there's so much content going on in each episode that some people move on to other shows and they don't want to watch it.
I feel like people in this day and age really want a heavy type show.
That's true, but I think Gaim being so chock full of content is a strength of its own. But like that was the thing with our friend who I watched Gaim with them.
Yeah.
They they had to they didn't want to watch anything after Gaim. Like there were all those crossover, there were like the little spin-off movies and stuff.
Yeah.
She didn't want to watch any of them because she was so exhausted from all of it. She was so drained.
I just noticed
and that's the thing about Gaim is that Gaim does not give you an opportunity to rest. It just keeps throwing it at you over and over again. But the other shows will give you some breathing.
When Gaim was out, I just felt like I saw it everywhere from people in other communities of nerd shit that would not watch Kamen Rider, and they would be like, "Oh, I'm all about lock seeds right now," and they would just be buying them up. And
lock seeds, for the record, are the kind of
I saw people in the Power Rangers fandom that never watched Rider before. Jump right straight in the Gaim for some reason.
That's the problem. That's the bad thing about Riders sometimes, is you have those people who are like, yeah, Power Rangers should be for adults.
Yeah.
It should be edgy. And Gaim has a lot of dark themes in it, so they fucking latch to that like a fucking leech, and they will never let go, and they think every season should be like Gaim. And I like Gaim, but not every season should be like it. We need a breather sometimes.
It's like that episode. Oh wait, we're talking about Rider. No Sentai.
Yeah, we can talk about Sentai. But other than that, if our recommendations aren't doing for you, you can just go on Wikipedia and just look up the shows. And
honestly, Google Kamen Rider and just pick the one that.
Just pick the one that looks the most interesting to you. But the ones I gave you, I think, are the best ones. Those are seasons. All three of those seasons, I would never have gotten into on my own, but I watched them and I liked them. But
really?
Definitely, yeah. I never really cared for Double. I never really cared for O's. I didn't watch O's until O's and Forze until years after I got into it. I hated O's because he looked like his chest is like a fucking commemorative dinner plate that you buy. That's what it looks like, commemorating some fucking war or something. Okay, so I think that's really it for that.
Yeah.
Normally, what we're going to be doing for every now and then is we're going to be having announcements regarding news regarding what's up. But the newest Rider show that's just come out is Kamen Rider X8, which might be another good show to get into.
It might be a good show because we'll be talking about it.
We'll be talking about it,
and you can follow along with us.
You can follow along. It's easy and you can do it. I believe in you. But it's Kamen Rider X8 is a video game themed series. It's also part medical drama. It's like Scrubs meets Scott Pilgrim as Sebastian.
That's what it was. It was Scrubs Scott Pilgrim. That's exactly what I got. So the
new episode just started, and we are gonna be kind of talking about that. And so if you haven't seen it yet,
I'm no Superman is the theme.
Yeah, literally, I'm no Superman is the theme song.
I was like, that's weird. That's
literally plagiarism.
A little on the nose, huh?
It's a little plagiaristic, dude.
But they don't care. They just
don't give a fuck, dude.
Like,
that part where the guys were just all naked on cam?
Yeah.
That was just, Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so to kind of recap the whole episode, the first episode kind of began focusing on a 16-year-old named Emu Hojo, who was an intern hoping to become a doctor because when he was a child, he was saved by a doctor himself. The story begins with him taking care of a boy named Sota, who is afflicted with some sort of unknown illness. As all this happens, a woman named Asuma is in this grim office that I've seen in 5 different Rider shows because they
the same office.
They reuse the same shop places all the time. But they're in this grim office talking with some austere businessman who's like, we need to give this to someone who can take care of mankind. Yeah. And she was like, I'm looking for an ace gamer named M who will take this device. And they're in this dimly lit round room, and they open the briefcase, and there's just this hot pink moon.
Isn't that literally the same thing they did in Mega Ranger, where they were like, we need to get gamers for our game?
I mean, like I said before, with Sentai and Rider, it's not how long. It's not if they ever did it before. It's how long ago they did it. But no, they use that same office in Drive.
And who's looking for the best video gamer to do anything? We need this series. Get that fucking dude on Twitch.
Get that dude on Twitch.
Get that League of Legends player right here, right now.
Every morning. But moms are rebelling across the country and need one dude who hates moms the most. But no, they were talking about finding this guy named M who's a skilled gamer. Who could that be? And they, after having this grim discussion, they open the briefcase and they show the gamer driver. They don't know. They don't say what it is, but they say that they need someone who can use it to fight an imminent threat. So as all this happens, Emu is taking care of Sota, who's very bitter about being in the hospital and doesn't like being there. He's like a 10-year-old, and so he ends up running away. And so while Emu is chasing him down, he ends up running into Asuna, and Asuna drops her briefcase and reveals the gamer driver and a game cartridge for a new game called Mighty Action X, which falls out. And so when that happens, basically Sota finds the game cartridge and flips out. He's like, I wanted to play this game! And then he just falls down and gets sick. And Asuna takes him to a special organization called Cyber Rescue Center. and
Love
reveals,
the name.
yeah, I love the name, revealing that that he's afflicted with some sort of disease that's way out of what Emu had suspected. So they basically tell Emu to butt out after he finds out that his own director at the hospital is the leader of CRC. In spite of that, Emu just says, well, you know, they seem to know what they're doing, but I'm going to disregard that.
Yeah.
And he talks to the kid, gives him a little pep talk about the video game that's coming out, and he takes him to the launch party. At that same time, Asuna goes to the launch party because she's trying to find the legendary gamer known as M. And she finds Emu there, and the first thing she does is yells at him, unaware of the fact that it's him, it's M.
It's me.
And of course, after that happens, the boy falls to his knees and suddenly transforms into a giant meatball monster. It's what it looked like.
Ravioli.
Yeah, what are you referencing there? But like,
for the true fans, they'll know what I'm talking about.
The true fans,
don't worry.
Only obscure fans will know what he's referencing.
Don't worry.
You know?
No. They know. They just heard that and they were like, "Oh my god!" Wait, Kevin,
wow, dude.
Kevin in the dark.
Kevin
in the dark. You.
Well, I spent most of my,
the listener, know what I'm talking about.
Well, I spent the first 8 years of my life just buried in a mound of dirt, so I don't know.
So you were literally in the dark.
Yeah, I guess I was. Well, so anyways, he transforms into a giant meatball monster and starts fucking shit up. And so Asuna explains to Emu that he was infected with a virus called a bugster. Best monster name. Video game monsters, viruses from video games that have come to life and started infecting people. She ends up pulling out the Moonshoe driver and shows it to him and says, "We need to find someone who can play this." And he yoink takes it and then transforms using it into Kamen Rider XA.
Yeah, he just knew straight away. He knew
right away. And after fighting against the monster, he reveals himself to be the legendary gamer M. To no one's surprise, after a ridiculously nuts, stupid, good, awesome, good boy fight scene, he destroys
the fight scene was really.
It was really good. We get that, and he destroys the monster. And after that happens, he ends up basically returning to the CRC base with Asuna, and she reveals herself not to be a human at all, but she's actually an AI program named Poppy Peepo Popo. Part of like a DDR sort of program, and it turns out she lives a dual identity as a human and as a computer program, and she asks him to fight alongside them to fight against the bugsters.
That was a straight up Kiari Pamu reference, correct?
Maybe, I don't know anything about that, but they end up, and probably, but after that happens, as it kind of ends, you see an edgy boy in a limo driving there saying some sort of edgy shit. Yeah. Obviously our next boy who's going to turn into a rider.
No, never. I would never think that this man wearing a business suit
in a limo with his hand resting on his chin going, Sulka.
I would never think that.
And everything. And that will be our next boy. And so next episode he's going to turn into Kamen Rider Brave, and we're going to have another hero in our midst. So that's kind of the first episode of X8. What did you think?
I thought it was very standard, but I loved the visuals. I loved the concept, just because I'm a gamer dork.
Yeah, just real gamer, bro. You can't see it, but we're fisting each other so hard right now. My flesh is actually boiling.
No, that's just him.
Yeah, my flesh is just boiling on its own.
It's just him.
I've been infected with a flesh-eating virus for about 6 years now.
This is basically what I've always. Like a dream season, basically.
It's a season I never knew I wanted.
Really? You never knew you wanted it?
Well, cause I don't know. I could like talk about a lot of stuff here. Like the whole concept of using video game cartridges for power-ups. That's something I've had like since I was a kid. Like that. Yeah. I remember someone I know, they made like a Game Boy character, and I suggested that to them, and they're like, "Oh, cool." But
I don't know. It just reminds me of Mega Ranger and like kind of some of the lost opportunities made with that show, where it wasn't as video gamey as I would want it.
And in all defense, like they were trying to move away from that whole retro look because it was still new back then.
Yeah, so it was like PS1 graphics.
So like it wasn't cool. So it's only natural that they're going back to that. You know,
that's what I like. It's like retro style.
Yeah. So it's
all Mario, but they don't say it's Mario.
It's his main form is based on Mario. Like when they transform, he has a sort of cutesy fat form.
Yeah.
Where he's clearly supposed to be more evocative of
It's
of like Mario, and then he levels up and has a more normal.
It's kind of like a cross between Mario and Mega Man. I feel like.
A little bit, yeah. So the other riders that are going to show up are Kamen Rider Brave, who is a based on RPGs, if it wasn't obvious enough, and then a rider I hope I'm really going to like, who transforms into Kamen Rider Snipe, who's based on a first-person shooter. He even has a helmet. He even has an helmet that says like STG, which I think is supposed to be like a nod to MLG or something like that. But and he has like a little emo hair flip over his visor and everything.
A Doritos package in his pocket.
Yeah, no one's made that joke yet.
No one has done it, but I'll be the first to step up. I'll break that ground for all y'all.
Break that mold, dude.
I'll break that mold.
Break that mold, do with that nut.
Do with that nut. Get in that mold break.
I've been digesting fucking warheads for 6 months now to get the perfect acidic consistency in this load, so I can break all the molds and do whatever it takes to be a mold breaker.
That's what I do for this show. That's what I bring to the table. That's why I'm here, baby.
And you're digesting you're disintegrating the microphone.
Glad for you to elaborate.
That's why my knuckle is boiling.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was fucking stupid as balls, and I'm so excited. I am
excited too.
It was so dumb, and that is exactly what I want.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be that serious.
Is that in your face? Like, yeah, no, it was great.
It was literally Scrubs with fucking Scott Pilgrim plus Mario. That's what it felt like.
It had a lot of special effects and everything. Yeah. The hit, and and normally when they do that with Ryder, there's a lot of wire work and leaping around and doing stuff and everything.
Yeah.
And then they drop that after a while, and it's just straight up just them kind of walloping a guy in the face for 2 minutes straight. And that's going to drop out, but I wonder how much of that they're going to keep every time he punches a guy and you just see the hit effect.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of work.
What did you think of the what do you think of the actual toys? Like, what do you think?
The toys specifically?
Just in general, like the way they're demonstrated in the show and everything. And,
I like the hammer. I don't like the sword mode.
The Gashicon breaker, yeah.
I don't like the sword mode. I never really tacked on sword modes to any of the weapons that are dinky, especially. They just don't.
Well, yeah, because in the toys, of course, they can't make it that long.
But even with this one, it's
even when it's actually long in the show.
Even in the show, it's like the hammer was fine.
Yeah, I like that little nod to Donkey Kong. That was a nice touch.
What nod was that?
The hammer.
Oh,
because Mario had a hammer originally in the games.
Okay. I thought you meant the actual character.
No, well, I mean, Mighty Action X is a nod to Mario.
I loved when they mentioned it's like a start screen for a video game.
That was great when the area like pixelated briefly and then turned back to normal. That was really cool.
Yeah.
How it creates like a barrier to protect people. That was really neat. It was pretty much like from the get-go when I heard it was going to be video games. I was hoping it was going to be more like internet sort of thing, but like I was hoping we were going to get viruses. We got viruses. I was hoping they were going to use cartridges. We got cartridges. Mm-hmm. I was hoping there were going to be little nods to like things like competitive gamers. We're getting that with fucking Snipe, where he has like an MLG thing on his helmet. I was hoping we were going to get someone to blow a cartridge when doing a finishing move. We got that.
That was great.
I got everything I wanted.
He blew straight through his visor. The air went through his mask.
Well, that's always been a thing, is they just seem how can breathe through their skin. I always like that. But yeah, no. So that was kind of that was great. That was a really good first episode for me. Really strong.
And it shows a lot. I mean, we were already getting a lot, and it's only been the first episode.
That was good because the last season that just ended, for those who aren't familiar, was Kamen Rider Ghost. Kamen Rider Ghost was pretty split. I didn't care for it. I thought it was a pretty disappointing series.
I loved the designs initially.
The designs for Ghost weren't quite what I even wanted, but I get where they were going for with that. I can't really hold that against them. Mm-hmm. But Ghost had a lot of pacing issues in my opinion, and the first episode kind of right off the bat, I felt like everything went too fast. Just like within the first 5 minutes, he transforms, and it was like, no, I don't care. Give enough of his shit. You have to make me care.
Yeah.
And I felt like they did a little bit more of that with X-Aid.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, the guy who's writing it is he wrote like a movie for like Lupin, I think. Lupin.
Yeah, Lupin.
So and apparently that was a good movie. So I'm excited to see what he's gonna do with it. And I don't know, I like because normally what they did with Drive and Ghost was they had like the main theme playing when he transformed, and I don't know why, I just hate that. That's such a pet peeve for mine. I can't really justify why, and I can't really hold it against them. Yeah. But they didn't do that with X8, so I enjoyed it even more. They played the ending theme at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was pretty good stylistically. All those pixels
very
and shit.
Stylish.
That's something I've always wanted to see, and something related to tech and data and everything. Something related to
even
heroes.
when it wasn't anything. When it was just straight up dialogue, it was all still stylish. Like all like primary.
There's
colors.
Something very clean about medical drama and just the kind of the whole sterile white. That's nice. It contrasts nicely with the bright pinks and blues. So that's kind of what we have to say. I mean, what are you kind of hoping to see out of the show from what we've seen so far, like speculation wise?
I just want as many game references as possible. Just like
we heard I don't know if I told you, but we're getting reference. I think I told you where there's rumors that we'll be getting another writer named Kamen Rider Witch, and she has her first. She's a she.
Oh, I love
female writers, dude.
Woo.
More heroes. But like she's apparently going to be having a horror themed Gashot, and then she's going to have 2 Gashots that are both based off of Pokemon. Or one of them is
no way.
One of them it's like something monster, and it's like one of them is Plum version, and the other one is like Peach or something like that.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's just a rumor. We don't know if that's going to be the case or not, but we'll see. I hope it is true. That's pretty nuts though. I like that a lot. Yeah. So that's I don't know. I'm hoping. I think I've told you before. I hope if we do get a secondary. Well, there's no secondary rider in this season since it's multi-rider. Yeah. But when we do get the next gadget, which will inevitably come out, I do hope it's like a sort of DOS system sort of thing where it's a bland
Not
sort
a
of
disc.
just like a DOS, like a tan color, like clunky. It's got that sort of semi-gloss. Like there's a black screen with like green text, just broken, like old and chunky as hell. And just I
feel like it would be perfect for a belt because usually belts are like a belt buckle's like usually circular.
Yeah,
they had like a disc and then you'd place it like this, like a disc.
It has to be compatible with the Gashots, obviously.
True.
But or it has to be like the same style as Gashots. Like they did that with Drive, where they had shift cars and then they had signal bikes, but they were the same thing. They had little track lines on them.
This is true.
But yeah, no. I would love that. I love the idea of like old tech interfacing with new tech. That's one of my favorite things. So I hope if we do get that. Is
that why you love steampunk so much? You like
Shut the fuck up. Don't try to fucking sabotage me on this show. I made this happen. I am a visionary. Don't do this to me.
Yikes.
And for the record, Steam Powered Giraffe is epic. Like a fucking sir. Shut the fuck up. Okay. So other than that, we also just found out the possible new Sentai series coming out. I think it's called Kyuger. I think we talked about that previously. What do you think of that?
I like space. I'm a big space-o. Put me out in that space, launch me out there.
Okay, well, my opinion that I'm actually trying to make with here is that I don't know. I like seeing Sentai breaking boundaries, and if we're gonna be getting a series,
you really do like that.
I like seeing Sentai that's like because the rumor is that they're all planet themed. That the red one is gonna be Mars, blue one's gonna be Neptune.
Oh, like that was like Changeman though. They did Zodiac. It was Mars, and then there was like, I'm probably messing this completely, but in Changeman they had that same thing where they were based on planetary. They had planets in that one.
Yeah, well, and that's cool, but they recycle themes in Sentai all the time. Like the newest season, that's a recycle of the animal theme.
Obviously.
But no, like if we're getting like a Mars Ranger, Neptune Ranger, that's fucking raw. I hope it's. I don't know if have you ever seen Forza?
I seen the first episode.
Okay, well, the second rider, Meteor, he has a weapon called the Meteor Storm, and it has Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, and if he presses one of them, they'll go, Mars!
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I want something like that, where they punch people with planets.
I don't think...
A planet... They're not going to do exactly
that. They might do that with the robot. The robot might be punching people with
planets. They don't do that anymore. They haven't done that in years.
They might.
I don't think they're going to do it. I'm waiting for them to go back to doing something that doesn't have Jur at the end of it. I'm so sick of that.
You are... I don't care. But...
I don't know. It's completely unimportant. In fact, in no way.
Nope.
I like the idea of a Sentai team having the word man at the end of it.
Yeah.
Because not men, man. I like that. I like Mask Man. I like Mask Man because that just makes it more confusing when talking about Kamen Rider. So yeah, I don't know. So that's my life right now. Just getting ready for some planets. Getting ready for Q Ranger. I don't know. What do you think of Zyuohger, the newest one going on?
Zyuohger, completely not for me.
Not for you?
Not at all. I like the world, or Zhu the world. Is that you
Zhu of the world? Yeah.
Zhu of the world.
He looks pretty cool.
I like the idea of him.
He becomes a hero.
I like the idea of having form changes. That's pretty cool.
And they've been doing that more lately.
Sucks. Do they? I think they all have a form, but
they have like add-ons.
Yeah, they have add-ons, but the main dudes, they get the real form.
Yeah, he has the Duo Whale thing that looks really neat. I need to get back into it because the people I follow, they've said it's pretty good. I like the fact that the monsters are video games and you put coins in them to make them go big.
Make them go big.
I don't know if they're. I think before we even get the winter movie or the show ends, we're not gonna be able to get a crossover between Zyuohger and X8 probably.
I think just having it being a recycled theme that they've done multiple times.
That was kind of a buzzkill for me initially as well.
And the fact that it's all blocks. Not that that can't be done wrong. I just don't like. I like the concept.
Mhm.
I like how all the mechas look in a block.
Mhm.
I don't like how they look like when they're not in a block. So that's the problem with that.
I got you. I've never been big on the mechas.
But it's for kids, so
oh, of course,
kids will love that.
Yeah,
if you love Minecraft, you would love.
And you can tell that's kind of where they're going for with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised we haven't gotten a full-on crafting kind of series where you put things together and get new things. I don't know how that would work, but no. I like how they all look like they have Redbubble T-shirts, just like fucking graphic tees on their suits.
I was gonna mention, I guess it's irrelevant now. We could probably not talk about this, but Godzilla's coming out.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was at, I noticed that they were actually showing it in Winter Park. Yeah, but they made a new Godzilla film called Godzilla Resurgence.
Yeah.
It's directed by Hideaki Anno, also known as the guy who made Evangelion.
I think it's Shingechi Uchi. I might be butchering
that. I know you mentioned him before.
They both worked on Evangelion and are part of Godzilla.
And the guy you mentioned, he's a big fan of.
He is a humongous fan. He also directed the remake, not remake, but the new Gamera films when they redid Gamera.
Yeah, he's a big fan of Gamera. He's just a big fan of kaiju in general. He's just
they're both big fans of kaiju.
Big kaiju buff. And Hideaki Anno, he did like an Ultraman fan film when he was in college. Yeah. I need to watch that Blue Blazes show where it's about the group of them when they were like a bunch of like Hideaki Anno and the others when they were in college. I need to watch that.
But they are bringing. I will give a review when we see it, obviously.
Oh, of course.
But I love that. They're the type of people that have the respect for the genre and will take it into places it hasn't gone yet.
That's cool. Yeah.
That is what I like.
So that's to kind of give you an idea. It's a movie directed by Hideaki Anno. It's kind of a different take on the series. I don't know that much about Godzilla, so I can't give you my exact explanation, but it's supposed to be more terrifying, I think.
More of a horror movie. From what I'm gathering, it's basically a reboot, and it's going back to the serious tone of the original Godzilla
kind
film.
of the allegory for nuclear war.
Yes, if you watch the original Godzilla film, it is not played for silly. It is completely pretty much serious.
Like kind of tragic almost.
Yeah, it is extreme. It's very somber. It's a somber movie, and it's great. It does not line up with the rest of the films at all.
No, of course not.
Because if you watch the other ones, it's good. It's
like how Early Rider was a family show.
Yeah.
It had almost had like weird experimental art film like kind of styles of editing, and then they just dropped that after about 16 episodes because they realized more kids were just into it.
Basically,
but yeah, no, they're airing it. They're not airing it, but they're showing it in America, a limited release called. They're calling it Shin Godzilla, which I believe was the original name of the film before they changed it. But they're calling it that here, and it's gonna be a limited release. So check that out if you like some.
If you hear this before it comes out and you're interested, I would recommend probably just go seeing it on the fact that you want to support.
If you want to support something to show interest in the genre, I think that's
in the genre, because Godzilla is the biggest Toku thing. In America,
besides Power Rangers.
But see, the people that watch Power Rangers half the time don't even know it's part of a genre. So.
Fair enough. When I think of Toku, most of the time I think of superheroes. That's true. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So if you want to support that, that's just more towards the cause of because we have Power Rangers, we have Super Sentai stuff coming on DVD more often now, and I think if you support stuff like Shin Godzilla, I think that shows more interest and makes a chance of other stuff getting brought over on DVD.
Like
Rider on DVD, I would love that. So yeah, no. I mean, yeah, and if you love those big old sweaty toes of Godzilla stomping through the streets, crushing you, just go at that, you know? Just yell at the screen while everyone else is around you. Give me those toes!
Give me those toes.
So
you just want to yap them up. That's all I think about when I watch Godzilla.
Mouth is just stretched out. Like, years of use. Years of use. This is kind of a straightforward yeah, we're only at about 30-minute mark.
Wow, really?
So I think that's about it for now. So what we're going to be really doing is we will be talking more about news stuff as time goes on, but we will also be taking questions.
I know you have a question for me.
You can go ahead and send it to our blog, and we will answer it next time we do the podcast. So I guess that's really it for now, that is.
You're in the ground floor. You're
in the ground floor.
You're
This
in
is
the
the very-
foundation.
You're in the foundation. You're covered in the muck. You're covered in the weeks old Nutella.
You're here,
containers.
I'm breaking ground with this Kamen Rider shovel, basically, and it's going in.
You're breaking ground, uprooting trees that children planted decades
I'm cutting
ago.
down. I'm deforesting, like, you know.
We're deforesting.
We're cutting down trees.
We're ruining the continent. We're killing our planet, dude. We're killing our planet.
We're killing our planet for these riders and their little brothers.